Please welcome back AC Ramos.
Can you hear me? Hello, hello. All right. Right now we're going to talk about cash buyers and how to build your cash buyers list quickly. We talked about it yesterday. Like when I say emailing your list, your cash buyers list, that's the fastest way to sell a property for us, because we have 70 to 100,000 people on our email list. When we send out an email, we sell a deal really fast. I told you about the one deal that we sold in less than 8 minutes for a $40,000 assignment fee. That is because we have a list of buyers that we've been building up for years. Like, I've been doing this over 10 years. And I've been saying over 10 years for a couple of years now, so it's like 10, 12 years. I just want to keep it around 10. But all these buyers that I've been selling deals to from the very beginning, I always gather their information. I always get their phone number, their email, because when I first started, I just slowly started building a list. And then it was like 300 people or 100 people, then 300 people, then 500 people. And now it's just got to the point where I've spent a lot of money building my list and put a lot of time and effort and networking into building my list. And that's what I'm going to show you how to do, is how to start building that list quickly. Because when you have a list and you have a good deal, like I tell people all the time, if we have a good deal, we can sell it like that. You can sell any deal as long as it's a good deal and the numbers make sense to the investors. Now, if you can't sell your deal really fast and you have a good email buyers list, it's usually because the property is priced wrong. Price cures all. So if you sell something at a good price, you will have no problem selling it. If you can't sell it, just like on the market with a realtor, where are our realtors at in here? Who's a realtor? Okay, if you have a property listed on the MLS on the market and it doesn't sell and it's been 120 days, usually what is the problem with that property? Price. They're asking too much. And the same thing in the investor market. Like our buyers list is like our little underground MLS. Like, we send out deals to our investors and they see the deals, and if they want it, they jump on it and they buy it. If they don't want it, it's because of price. Because if it's priced too high, then it's not a deal for them, and they're not going to be able to make their money. So if it's a good deal, it's going to sell fast. And I'm going to show you how to build your buyers list. So first of all, online ads. This is a great way to start building your buyers list, especially when you first start out and you don't have a lot of money. Like most people when they're first starting out, you're not going to spend a lot of money building your buyers list. You're going to start going to the for rent sites. Now, why would you want to go to a for rent site? To look for a cash buyer. They're investors. If they're renting out properties, they're investors, and they're going to be willing to buy the property because they're going to turn around and put the repairs into it and sell it or rent it out. Networking groups such as Jet Lending has one once a month. We have one once a month. Our Prosperity Group, networking group. The Rich Club has one. The Wealth Club has one. You want to go to as many of these events as possible because you're looking to get in front of as many of these investors as possible. And these investors go to these meetings. You'd be surprised. There's some people there that are just tire kickers and will never do anything. But there's a lot of buyers there because, like we talked about it yesterday, as wholesalers, we're marketing machines finding deals. Most investors don't know how to do their own marketing. So how do they find their deals? They rely on realtors. They rely on investors at these networking groups. They don't know how to do it themselves. So that's why they're at these networking groups looking for wholesalers, looking for people who do know how to market. Signs. A way to build your buyers list with signs is, how many of y'all seen the signs like in front of Home Depot or Walmart, and it says, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, worth $125,000, selling for $50,000 cash? You seen those? You know what those are called? Ghost signs. Because most of those deals are not even real. They're just they're ghost signs. They're just trying to get your interest, and they're trying to get you to call them. I bet if you call them, most of the time they're gonna be like, "Oh, that deal's already sold. It's gone. It's gone. It's a ghost. It was never really there. It's an apparition. It's fairy dust." It's just to get you to call so that they can put you on their buyers list. That's what they're doing, is they're just trying, and usually it's like a really good deal. You're like, oh my God, that's too good to be true, because it is too good to be true, and they want you to call so they can get your email and your phone number so they can call you when they really do have a deal. So that's what those are bandit signs, but they're also called ghost signs. MLS cash buyers. There's a way to go on the MLS, and if you're not a realtor, you can work with a realtor to pull this list and do a little research. So I'm gonna go into that and show you how to do that. And get in contact with a lot of those cash buyers. Craigslist.org. We talked about Craigslist the other day for looking for sellers. You can also use Craigslist to look for buyers. What you're going to do is you're going to go to the for rent sections and stuff, kind of like the for rent sites and everything like that. Backpage.com. How many of you don't know what Backpage is? Backpage is a lot like Craigslist. It's just another online classified site that you can use. Postlets.com is another website that you can use to. It's another online classifieds kind of thing, so you can go on there and post stuff or look for ads. You're gonna want to post these ads multiple times per day, like with Craigslist. Like if you've noticed on Craigslist, it's a list, and then like the one on top is obviously going to get the most looks. But every time somebody posts another ad, there's another. It just keeps going down and down and down and down. So the key to that is posting multiple times a day, which is why I was saying the other day, like for looking for sellers, you're going to use a lot of keywords so that you don't get marked as a duplicate ad. You're going to want to do the same thing when you're well, this way you're going to be looking for ads. But I'm saying whenever you're posting stuff on there, because you could post looking for buyers and you can look for people that have for rent or for sale by owner signs on there. So when you're posting, you're going to want to use different keywords for that too, so you can post over and over again and your ad stays near the top, because you're going to get noticed a lot more. So you want to stay constantly posting ads all day. We post about 20 ads a day, 20 to 30 ads a day. And I have a virtual assistant that does this, but they add a lot of different keywords in there so we can keep posting, either looking for buyers or sellers. And we keep posting ads up there so we stay near the top, so we keep getting recognized. The keywords, those are going to be the words that you use in your keywords that you're putting at the bottom. So you say cash for houses, Houston, we buy Houston houses cash. You're just going to keep coming up with all kinds of words that fit that same style. Or if you want to, you can go by neighborhood, like Oak Forest house, cash for Oak Forest houses. We buy Oak Forest houses cash. We break it down by subdivisions. We'll break it down by areas of town. We'll break it down by Galveston, Woodlands, Friendswood, all kinds of different things like that. It's just a matter of finding different keywords. So when somebody actually searches for that, like Friendswood house for sale, or I need to sell my Friendswood house, or I need to sell my Woodlands house, then those keywords are going to hit one of our keywords and pull us up on their search for relevancy. So, okay, let's go more into these for rent signs. So, for rent sites. For rent sites, like I said, Craigslist and Backpage are pretty much the same. They're just an online classified site. You can go on there looking for the rental postings. And like we talked about before, a lot of the people that are going to have these rental postings are going to be landlords, people that are buying properties. Sometimes you'll even be able to find a deal. Like if you call these people, you're going to want to call them and say, hey, look, I see you have this property for rent in this area. Are you a landlord, or are you just, trying to rent this house out, or, what's the situation? If they say, yeah, like I have a lot of properties and I rent out a lot of properties, that's what I do is I have a lot of rental properties. You're going to be like, well, great. Well, what I do is I have discount properties, and I come across them all the time, and I sell to people just like you who want to buy the house, fix it up, and put it for rent and make a good cash flow. And then they'll be like, oh, really? I said, well, yeah, would you like to be on my email list? Because I come across deals all the time. What are they going to say? If they're looking for rental properties, are they going to, I don't buy from people like you, or I don't need no more help. I don't need no more houses. If that's what they do, they're looking to build their portfolio up. So they're going to be like, okay, yeah, go ahead and put me on your list. So Craigslist and Backpage, you can go through the ads there. GoSection8.com. I think it's .com. Yeah, GoSection8.com is another place where you have landlords on there that are buying properties and renting them out to the Section 8 tenants. That's a whole different niche. But if they're buying them and listing them on that site, it just means that they're dealing with Section 8 tenants, and that's a government program. So they usually have it set up where they get their rent straight from the government. So it's a whole different system. Like they may get it like 30, 45 days late. Sometimes I've heard from some Section 8 landlords, but they don't care because they get a little bit more usually because Section 8 will do it by bedrooms. So sometimes they'll even take, like if you have a 3-bedroom with a big living room, they'll actually wall it off and make another bedroom so they can actually get more. So they have a system in there, but you can go and find those kind of landlord renter, landlords on that kind of site, and just contact them. Again, you might find a deal if they're not really a landlord and they're just doing it by chance. But most of the time, if they're on Go Section 8, that they do that for a living. They already have a system that they're looking for Section 8 tenants and everything like that. So those people are really good to buy, because usually they know how to extract a little bit more cash out of them than just a regular landlord. REIArentals.com. That's another site where you can go on there and start contacting landlords. You know, it's just more of a specialty site, kind of like Go Section 8. ShowMeTheRent.com. ShowMeTheRent.com is it's good because obviously it's more landlords on there. You know, all you're looking for is people that are in the business of buying houses to rent them out. Everybody write those down? All right. Networking groups. Obviously, the best networking group in town is Prosperity Group. They are the best. Oh, I've heard. I don't know. They're pretty awesome. The Rich Club. How many of y'all been to the Rich Club? Good. There's a lot of people there that are actually doing business, and a lot of landlords there, a lot of buyers there, some flip buyers. The Wealth Club is another one. There's probably that's one of the ones that I find that there's people actually doing a lot more in there. They're actually really active. You know, kind of like ours. We actually attract a lot of people that are really doing the business, and the Wealth Club does too. Jet Lending also attracts a lot of real people, a lot of people that are actually taking action and doing the business right now, not just tire kickers. Yes.
What about Lifestyles Unlimited?
Lifestyles Unlimited is another one. They're more multi-family. They start out with houses and stuff. They have a different formula for buying and the way they do things. But that's, anywhere you can find buyers is going to be a good place to go. So, yeah, I would definitely say you can go there. I don't know if they really have a networking group, though. It's more like they have like a class once in a while or something like that. But these networking groups are like every month. Like ours is every month. The Rich Club has one every month. The Wealth Club has one like on the first or second Saturday of the month. And Jet Lending has one on third Wednesday. I think they may have moved it to the second Wednesday. They didn't? Okay, because I think they might be. I talked to Eddie or Eric or something like that. So, but yeah, on a Wednesday, they have it like once a month too. So these people are pretty consistent where you can go every month, get to know everybody there, find out who's really doing business. Jet Lending is a good one because they lend money. So they know the people that they invite are people that they lend money to. That's their contacts. Those are their people. So if they're there and they're borrowing money to buy houses, they're buying houses. And Jet doesn't mind you there networking to find buyers, because if you have deals to sell to them, they might use Jet Lending's money to buy the deal from you. So, like, I go to that one a lot. They're really good friends of mine. And you want to attend as many of these as possible. Like, I try to hit them all every month. I know Jet's is easy because it's in the evening for me. Ours is in the evening. Rich Club has one in the evening too, but sometimes it falls on the same day, so I kind of have to alternate which one I'm going to go to, Jet Lending or Rich. The Wealth Club is on a Saturday morning, so that one's really the toughest for me to hit because I don't wake up early on Saturdays, especially if it was a Good Friday. So like that one's the one I like to hit because there's a lot of people actually doing business there, but it's one of the hardest for me. You want to get business cards. Get as many business cards as you can from everybody. Like when I leave these networking events, like I'll usually have a pocket full of business cards. Some people are already on my list. I give them to my assistant. She adds them to our buyers list. But a lot of times they're people that are new to the business or just found out about the group or something like that, and they're looking for houses, but they don't know where to find them. So they just I get their card, and and put them in my email list, or give them to my assistant, put in my email list, or Milda, my sales representative, and take business cards. If you don't have some business cards, just go get some made. You can get some business cards made real cheap on vistaprint.com, or pretty much any business card place. You could really get $30 and you can probably get like 1,000 business cards. Okay, 500 or 1,000 business cards for $9.99 at Vistaprint. Yeah, so just get some cheap business cards made. You want to have your name. You want to have what you do. I have investment properties or whatever. You just want to get your name, maybe a website if you have it there, your contact information, your email, everything like that, so you can add them. Yes. Okay, your question, I think, if I heard it right, was if you're looking for private lenders or if you're doing private lending?
If I want to do two different things. Should I have two business cards? One business card that I list that I do two different things. I want to lend and I want to buy. So how do I get that done?
I would probably put it on two different business cards. You could put it on the same, but you never know who you might want to approach somebody where you're buying deals from them. And then there's some people that you may want to give your card to that is a really good person that you like, and because you're not going to just want to lend to anybody. It's going to be more of a specific criteria you're looking for. So her question was two different business cards or not for two different things that you're doing. Like for her, lending money, I would definitely have a card for that, and buying houses, I would have a separate card for that. And like we were just saying, because the person you want everybody that's selling houses, you want to give your We Buy Houses card to, or I'm buying a house card to everybody like that. So you let everybody know that you're buying houses, and they can contact you if they have a good deal, and you can evaluate the deal. Now, if you're talking to somebody and they're a really good candidate, and you're like, man, this person knows what they're doing, I wouldn't mind lending money to this person. I would definitely have separate cards, and then you give that person your card so you can qualify them. If you don't want to give them your lending card, you're like, oh man, this guy's a nutcase. I don't want to lend him no money. I'm not going to give him that card. But if I trust somebody and I think they know what they're doing, I see that they fit the kind of person I would want to work with, I'll give them that card. But yeah, so in that case, have two different cards and distinguish who you want to give each one to. But like I said, they're really cheap, so you can get a lot of them and just pass them out. If you don't have a business card, ask everybody, or if they don't have a business card, also ask for everybody's email. Even carry around, Jim had a good idea. I talked to him a long time ago. He had blank business cards, and what he would do was just write down everybody's email. So he would write down their name and their email on it, and then he would save it, and then he could put it in his list. So if they don't have a business card, you're not missing out on gathering that person's information. Because a lot of people that are really buying houses, a lot of times they don't have business cards because they're doing something else. They have a real job, or they have something else that they're doing every day, and they're just really busy people, and they don't get around to making the business card. So you don't want to miss out on that information. So just have a blank card, or even 3x5 cards, or any kind of card, even a notepad, just so you can write down their name, their phone number, and their email address, and put it in your contacts, because that's a really good contact to have. Especially you don't want to miss out on it. Signs, okay, bandit signs. Bandit signs looking for buyers, like I said, are called ghost signs. Most of the time, they're not even for a real sign. Well, if it's for, not even for a real house. If it's not for a real house, that's a ghost sign. But if you do have a property, you want to post as many. I like to do about 20 to 50 signs around a house. Now we probably do like 10 or 15 because we have such a big buyers list. We don't spend as much time doing the bandit signs for houses as we used to. But when you're first starting out, do 30 to 50 bandit signs around a whole neighborhood, like within a mile, all the neighborhoods within a mile of this house, because you're going to say 3-bedroom, 2-bath, worth $125,000, selling for $56,000 or whatever you're selling for, and then cash, and then your phone number. And then you're just going to start seeing that people are calling you. And you're going to be surprised how many calls you get, because you're going to think you're putting out these signs. You're going to be surprised how many investors are driving around and noticing your sign. And they're going to call you and be like, hey, I want that house. And then, even if you've already sold the house, if you really do have a house and you really do sell it, get their information. Get their name, their phone number, their email address, put it on your list. And you can get a lot of names that way. Because investors will call. Because, like I said, they don't know how to find their own deals. So when they see somebody put up a sign like that, that's why those ghost signs work. Is because they're looking for signs like yours, somebody who really has a deal. And they're just trying to get a deal. Yard signs. If you have a house for sale and it's vacant and you already talked to your seller and they may not mind if you put a sign, you can put a sign in the yard that says house for sale, and and get a lot of calls that way, because a lot of times people are driving through neighborhoods, just like driving for dollars. As an investor, you're going to drive for dollars. You're going to drive through neighborhoods that you like, and you're looking for vacant, abandoned houses, houses with tall grass, houses with rusted mailboxes. When you're doing that and you see a house for sale and it looks like an investment property or it's vacant, you would call that sign. That's exactly what you're doing in this case. You're just catching the attention of people who want to buy that house. Ghost signs. Again, those are the ones we were talking about earlier. The ones in front of Walmart, the ones in front of Home Depot. 125,000 selling for 50,000, something like that. Maybe no house at all. It's just a ghost sign. It's a ploy to get your information. MLS cash buyers. Okay, this one is a really good one. It's a little tricky because if you're not a realtor, you have to befriend a realtor or work with an investor-friendly realtor. So what you're going to do is the realtor search for cash closings in the past 6 months, 6 months to 3 months. So you start like 6 months back and go to 3 months back. The reason you're doing that is because it takes time once the house has been sold for the county appraisal district to actually change the information of the new owner. So what you're going to do is have a list of the houses sold 3 months back to 6 months back, and you're going to get that from a realtor, and you're going to start looking up the HCAT information, or in our case, HCAT information, wherever, if you're in another city or another state, the county appraisal district information. Now what it's going to do, it's going to switch over information to ABC home buyers at whatever address, or if they have an address or whatever. So what you're going to want to do is search for that seller or for that buyer and then contact them, because now you know that they're buying houses cash. This is one of the best ways to build your build your buyers list up, because these people are actually buying houses within 3 to 6 months. They bought something cash and closed on it. Now you can also narrow it down to people who bought more than one house, so multiple houses. If they bought multiple houses in the past 6 months, in the past 6 months, how likely are they to be investors? Probably pretty highly. You know what I mean? So those are exactly the people you're looking for. You don't want somebody that just I would rather have these people than somebody that came up and gave me a card and said, "Look, I'm looking to buy houses. I buy houses all the time," because I don't know if they're really buying houses. Everybody says they're buying houses. There may be a wholesaler telling you they're buying houses, and they're just trying to get you to send them something that they might be able to wholesale to one of their buyers. But these people actually closed on the deal themselves, and they closed with cash. So these are the people I'm looking for. You're going to search, again, like I said, search on the county appraisal district to find the new buyer. Search the new buyer's info on white pages and Zaba search. How many of y'all have heard of Intellius? Intellius is another good site to use. Oh man. I can't spell very well, but if you search it, I'm pretty sure. I use it. INTELIUS. Yeah, INTELIUS, something like it. Intellius. Just sound it out. Like my teacher always says, sound it out. No, but Intellius, is it .com or .org? I think. But if you search Intellius, it'll come up, and I think they have a subscription that's like $20 or $35 a month, and you get unlimited searches. So it's a really good site to search these people, and because white pages and Zaba search, they're free. So if you haven't, you're starting with no money, it's a good site to start with. But if you can afford the subscription to Intellius, we use that one a lot. We have our virtual assistants. We'll get we'll get list of cash buyers like this and send it over to our virtual assistants in the Philippines with an email and have them use Intellius to search them all and then contact them and try to get their information on our list for us. So it's worth, it's a very cheap subscription considering it's $20 to $35 a month or something like that. So it's worth it if you're really making this your business. But if you have no money, you can start with White Pages or Zaba Search. And then when you get in contact with the buyer, you just want to gather all their information. You can even try to find out like what type of properties they're looking for. You're looking for 3-bedroom, 2 baths, what area of town, everything like that. Get their email address, put them on your email. So right now I want to go over any questions about like what kind of challenges are y'all having with finding cash buyers? Like what could you use more help with? Where are you having any problems finding cash, or with what you think you might be having problems with cash buyers? Anybody have any questions? No questions? Or you could just email it to me. I got lots of cash buyers, or I'll buy it myself if it's a good enough deal. Yes.
Well, this is maybe a little bit different question. After you get the deal done, how quickly can you start selling?
When you say, okay, his question is after you get the deal done, how quickly can you start to sell it? When you say get the deal done, you mean have it under contract?
Yes.
Oh, you could. I have gotten a contract, and literally before I got a contract without even seeing the house. When I was on the way to see the house, I called one of my cash buyers and had him meet me at the house, and I had picked it up for $90,000. And I was driving to the house, and I said, "Hey, I just got this property over here. I'm selling it for $97,000. Come meet me and take a look at the property." And I had my buyer meet me out there, and he actually offered me $96,000. So I made a $6,000 assignment, and literally I got the contract like less than 30 minutes before we met at the house. So as soon as you get it signed, you can start. You have control. The reason for getting a contract is so you control the property. So once you have it under control, you can start marketing it and selling it.
Okay, so I love that. You have it under contract, you're on your way, you've already looked at the estimated repairs and all this stuff before. Because you're saying you have to see this property, how do you know?
I look at them through Google Maps. This was after I'd been doing the business for a while. So sometimes you can go look at them. If you have any rehab experience, then you're better at looking at it, and you can kind of tell what you're going to spend on rehabbing the property and kind of where your cost is going to be. Now, if you've never done any rehabs, it's going to, you want to be a little more cautious. Like I said, if you don't know rehab costs, I bid really, really low to make sure that if I get the contract, that it's going to be, flippable for me. Like I'm going to be able to make a profit on it. So yeah. So Google Maps, Street View. Have you ever used Google? Yeah. So and then when I'm talking to them, I'll actually tell them, yeah, I drove by your property. It's the beige one with the black roof that has the old Ford in front or something, and they'll be like, yeah, that's my house. So and it's like they think you drove by. It's like, yeah, oh man, that one's a piece of crap. No, I just tell them, look, that one's gonna take some work. I'm gonna need to put new siding on it. I'm gonna have to put a new roof on it. You can kind of get some idea of what it is. Yes. No. Her question is, as a wholesaler, are you responsible for anything that comes up with once your buyer has it? Are you a realtor also? Okay, that was a very realtor-like question. Disclose, yeah, the realtors are like, I was just thinking that. No, because in a regular real estate deal, you have disclosures. If you know something's wrong, you have to disclose. Most of the time, as a wholesaler, you may ask what's going on, and if they tell you there's a foundation problem or they tell you there was a leak in the roof, I always disclose that to my buyers because I believe they're going to find that anyway. But when you're selling it as a wholesaler to your investor buyer, you're really having them do their own due diligence. Like if you notice on any of my emails, if y'all receive our emails from our deals, we put at the bottom, such amount of earnest money locks up the deal. Do your own due diligence. And a lot of investors, take longer to do their due diligence than others. Like some I've had buyers drive out to the property and just look at it, and they're like, okay, I know the area. I've done enough rehabs where I know, okay, the roof is going to cost me this much. Foundation is going to cost me this much because it's not too bad, or whatever. They can kind of make their estimates in their head, and they're like, okay, where do I bring the earnest money? I want it. And then I've had other investors that don't even look at it, and they just know the area, and they just, they don't really care. They'll just buy it like that. So that's their own due diligence. Now they're taking more of a risk by not going out there and looking at it and not checking it out at all. But that's their prerogative. They can do that.
Since it moves so fast, how do you know that there is a clear
Title.
title for that house before you sell it to somebody? Since this is happening so fast.
In the beginning, I used to wait till I got clear title back to market the property. Now I market the property as soon as we get it under contract, and I wait for the title company to give clear title. If I have assigned the property to an investor already, and the title does not come back clear, I will refund them their money. Like,
Flex option.
no, that's a real contract, a real assignment contract. But in my assignment contract, I state that in case of if we do not deliver clear title, or something happens on the seller, on our side, which is me and my seller, that I will give them that. Like if my seller decides the day before closing they don't want to sell and they are not going to sign the paper or everything, I give their earnest money back. But if it's anything on the buyer's side, I do not give their earnest money back. Yes.
How quickly can you get title?
How quickly can I get title? Oh, we're going to go over that in a little while. I get title back in about 2 or 3 days from my title company.
That's your title?
No, we use Arcland Title on Augusta, so they're really good. Trish works a lot of our deals there.
Where do you get the contracts?
The contracts, they're actually in your books. Actually, and we're gonna have a section talking about contracts a little later this afternoon. I'm gonna go over contracts and how to fill them out and different things like that. So we'll actually go more in depth in there. But there is a copy if you have your blue book, your folder like Matt was just showing me right here. Yeah, we're gonna go over this a little bit later. So your contracts are actually in your book. Thank you, Matt. So yeah, somebody else had another question. I saw somebody with their hand up. Okay. So yeah, so as soon as you get it under contract, you can assign that. I lost my place what I was talking about, but
Just ask about the title.
okay, yeah. Title comes back in usually about 3 days with us. We use Arcland Title. They're really good. They help us cure a lot of stuff. And our closing coordinator who worked, Sylvia, you may have met her. She will work closely with the title company to make sure that if it comes back in 3 days and it's not clear, and they say that you have 17 kids that are heirs to this property, we got to start contacting them and all kind of stuff. Oh man, you think that's funny? We had one where we had 19 heirs, and then 19. Yeah, there was 19 brothers and sisters, stepbrothers, stepsisters, all kind of people. And then some of those had kids. And some of their kids had kids. And some of the kids had died. So, oh man, it was terrible. It ended up being like 20-something people. But yeah, so I mean, like in those cases, it takes a little bit longer to get, like I've had some that take months to get clear. One time we had an heir that was 17, and it was going to be like 9 months before he. I didn't do that. I don't know. Somebody needs to know that we need to get some new toner. Yeah, so we had one that took 9 months because it was going to be 9 months before the heir turned 18 and could legally sign. But then we've also had another deal where we had a 14-year-old minor that inherited it, but he had a representative, so we had to go to the court and get the court to okay that the representative would sign for the kid, and the kid's portion of the money would go into a trust or whatever until he turned 18. Bless you.
Was that a wholesale deal? How long again?
That was a wholesale deal, and that one took us about 60 days to close, but we made like $30,000 on the assignment fee. So it depends on how much we're going to, if it's going to be a $3,000 assignment fee, we still work to get that closed. But obviously, if it's a bigger assignment fee, there's a little more. Man, somebody needs to fix that brother, that toner, the brother toner.
The title, if there is a problem with the title, who works on it now? Is it title company working on it, or is all the issues, or you as a assignment?
Okay, his question is if there's a problem on the title, who's working on it? Most of the time, it's the title company. Now, once the title company, distinguishes that there's an affidavit of heirship that needs to be signed, and they have to track down this heir, then my closing coordinator, she will help with that kind of stuff. Like if she needs to drive to, we've had where our closing coordinator had to drive to Brenham to go track down these 3 little old ladies that knew the lady who was the mother of the person who inherited, but she didn't leave a will. So we needed to get an affidavit of heirship signed by 3 people that knew the mother, and the only people that knew her were these 3 little old ladies that lived in Brenham that played bingo with her. You know what I mean? And they had known her for a long time. So they had to drive out there and get each one of their signatures and notarize that they knew her and that she had no other children besides the one that was claiming to get the inheritance. So it just depends. Yes.
There is a lawsuit against the owner of the property and they haven't been served.
Okay, her question is, what if there's a lawsuit against the seller? Now, what kind of lawsuit? You mean like a judgment or like a lawsuit like they're...
If the guy goes costed in the previous tenant.
Yeah, that's not a title issue. That's more of a civil case. I think that would be. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't think that. Yeah, no, I've never had anything like that cleared, like cloud title. So that would, I think that would be a civil case. They would have to deal with that, But I guess if it did come up, it would, it would, what's the deposit? A few $100, $500, $1,000. Sometimes it might be worth it to pay it, but I don't even think that would come up.
What if there's a couple of judgments on the property? Is the judgment to be on the title or the person?
Okay, this one is interesting. Her question is, if there's a judgment, would it come up on the title or the person? Well, it depends on what it's for. And it depends if the house is a homestead or not. We just recently had one where there was a judgment from credit cards that weren't paid, that were on the seller. The seller, and it came up and it clouded title for a minute. But our title company worked to get the cloud removed from the property because it was on the person. Because it was a homestead. It was a homestead, so they couldn't put any judgments or liens on the property for the credit cards, but they could put it on the person. Now what happened was the person, so they allowed the sale to go through, but the proceeds from the sale that were going to go to the seller, like the credit card, it had to be held in escrow for 6 months. And unless the seller bought another homestead property within that 6 months, then the credit card company or the lien holder, the judgment holder, was going to get their portion of those proceeds, and it wasn't going to go to the seller. So, and in that case, what we did is actually got the contract for the price that was owed to the bank. And then we gave, he allowed us to, he wouldn't get any proceeds of it. We gave the proceeds to a family member. So they got all their money, but he didn't get any money. I didn't give it to, we didn't do it to the title company. What we did is, so we paid a person out of closing that wasn't the seller. So that in that case, if it wasn't a homestead, then the judgment would go on the property though. So, and they wouldn't allow that to go without being paid off. Like if you have a house and it's your second house and you're selling it and you owe $7,000 to a credit card company or something like that, they're going to have a cloud on that title and a judgment on that property, because it was in your name and it's an extra property, so they're going to want their money when you close. Yeah. Yes. Her question is, do you have to be present at the closing as a wholesaler? And the answer is no, because you're not a principal in the deal anymore. You don't have to sign anything. Once you sign the assignment contract from you to the end buyer, you're done with the transaction. Like you've assigned your rights. So now the buyer and the seller have to sign or well, they have to sign no matter what, but they go into the closing, or they either do what's called a remote closing. Our title company will, in some cases, will drive out to. We had an elderly couple that couldn't move around. Like the guy had 2 strokes and a heart attack all at the same time, something like that. So he couldn't move very well. The title company went to them and did a mobile closing and got everything signed, and then the buyer signs on their own. So you don't, as a wholesaler, you don't have to be there. Yes.
For the assignment contract, do you have to have it early?
No, it's just like any other contract. As long as there is a terms written in the contract and a signature by the buyer and the seller, it's a legal binding contract. Yeah.
Do a lot of people look at their contract and just go, this doesn't look official, or does it look right?
I've had very few. His question is, do people look at our contracts? You're talking about our one-page contracts, and look at our contracts and go, man, this doesn't look very real. I don't know about you guys. Sometimes, but you'd be surprised how much it makes them feel comfortable because they understand. It's instead of 14 pages or 9 pages like a Trek, going through everything, and they're like, whoa, man, that's a lot of words. You know what I mean? And they look at this and it says, look, offer to purchase property or real estate purchase contract, and it says the address, it says the price that you're offering them, and it says all the terms that, they have to sign it by this date, we're going to close by this date, they're going to get their money at closing, and signature of the buyer, signature of the seller. I mean, it's really simple. My attorney at my title company actually likes my one-page contract better than the Trek contracts because they're cut and dry.
Okay, so because you're not doing all these checks and whatever, when your buyer comes in to say, okay, I'm gonna give you $97,000, is that their final out-of-pocket expense, or do you have to let them know that these are the associated fees?
When I say 97, like when I market a property, I market it for the total price. So in that case, I got it for 90 and I was selling it for 97. So I tell my buyer 97, but I also state to them that buyer pays all closing costs. But since it's a cash closing, they use this as a negotiating tool with your sellers because you're like, I'm going to pay all the closing costs. In a seller's mind, they're thinking, oh man, when I bought my house, it was like $4,000 in closing costs because I had doc fees, I had title insurance, I had all this other stuff. But when you're closing cash, it's a lot cheaper because you don't have a lot of doc fees, you don't have lender fees, you don't have a lot of those costs that are associated to most people's closing.
So what do you tell your buyer?
So I tell my buyer, no, I tell them, look, $97,000 and you pay closing costs. And they already know closing costs is going to be about $2,000, $1,500, $2,000 because it's going to be about, $750 to $1,000 a side, depending on title insurance and everything like that. So they know, okay, they just add on $2,000. They're like, okay, 97, 98, 99, I'll be in for 99,000. And then once they agree to the price, and like with that guy, he said, okay, I'll take it for 97,000. What I did is like, all right, great. Pull out the contracts. I say, okay, this is my purchase contract for 90,000, and here's my assignment contract to you for 7,000. You're going to give me $2,000 earnest money right now, and then the rest I'll get at closing. The earnest money is mostly to keep them honest and keep them tied in the deal and have them have some skin in the game, so they can't just back out and say, oh, you know what, I changed my mind, I don't really want to buy it. For whatever reason. It's just so you don't have to worry about it. So they know that the assignment is $7,000, the purchase price is $90,000. Yes, I tell my buyers what my assignment fee is. Yeah, I mean, Surrender, you were a buyer on one deal when I made $55,000 on it. Did you care because you were going to make so much on the deal?
Well, it's not, it's always not the buyer, right? I was thinking.
Oh, okay.
He saw it, he had a fit, he didn't like it. But because it was going to cash flow a lot, so
Yeah.
he happily signed it.
Yeah. I mean, like I tell my buyers all the time. Like if he didn't want to buy it, I had backup buyers for it. And most of the time, as long as that guy was going to cash flow, so he doesn't care as long as he's going to cash flow. I mean, like you said, he might have had a little bit of a fit, but it may be more of a shock at first, like sticker shock, like oh man. But if they're really a buyer and they really understand the cash flow and that they're going to make a lot of equity on the end, they're going to make a lot of cash flow on it, and if they don't want it, somebody else will take it. That's fine. It's my sellers. I don't want to know how much I'm making on the deal. And we're going to go over that in a little while on contracts and stuff. I'll talk about blind HUDs, split HUDs. That is where your buyer and your buyer and seller get separate HUDs and they won't see them. Yes.
Wouldn't you still not want your buyer to know how much cash flow and what fee you're making before you agree to a price?
No, I agree. Like Matt's question is, would you not want the buyer to know how much you're making before you agree to a price? No, I always negotiate on a total sales price. And then once we agree on a price, then I'll say, okay, here's my purchase contract, here's my assignment contract. And then if they're, like in that case, if the buyer would have been there and he would have been like, oh, hey, what's this? I would have been like, look, it's the total price that we agreed on. Like with the other guy.
Only after the earnest has been dropped.
No. I get the earnest money at the same time we're signing the contract and everything. Well, no, I let them know right there. I say, look, okay, I got this for, in the case of the other one, I got this for 90. I'm assigning it to you for 7,000. You're giving me 2,000 right now, and I'll get my other 5 at closing. So it's all at the same time. And then, like in his case, they give the earnest money and the assignment fee was bigger, but it's the same principle. It's like I get the earnest money, they see the total fee and everything, and we sign up all the documents all at one time.
But if they know that advance, don't they negotiate against you because they know the numbers?
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. We agree to a price, and then I disclose what it is. You know what I mean? So most of the time, because I want them to agree to the total price, because that's what they're agreeing to buy. And if they agree to buy at that price, they know in their head, well, I don't mind buying this price because I'm going to cash flow this, or I'm going to flip it for this, or I'm going to make this much profit. So they don't really care at that point most of the time. Any other questions? Yes.
Would you get the contract and earnest money, how do you drive it to the company, to another company like right away?
Earnest money?
Yeah.
I deposit the earnest money. And I try to spend it that day. No, I'm just playing. That's my goal. Spend it as fast as possible. No, I have the earnest money written to my company. I deposit it and I hold it because the earnest money is made out to me, and I put in my contracts non-refundable earnest money. Because like I said before, it's like I trust me more than I trust anybody else. I know my ethics. I know I will return the money if I have to return the money. Like, we just had a deal that fell through the other day, and just like, because title wasn't clear, and we tried to fight to get title clear, and it wouldn't clear. And on Friday, somebody came in the office while we were here and picked up an earnest money check return. I gave him back his $2,000 because it wasn't his fault. He was ready to close on the deal. We just couldn't get clear title. There was some kind of issue that held it up. So I trust me. I know I'll give it back. I know I'm going to be ethical about it. So I deposit the money in my account, and then I fax a copy of the contract or email a copy of the contract to the title company.
You go ahead and actually deposit the check before you know that the title is clear, and you just write a refund check?
Yes. Her question is, do I deposit the check? And it's yes, because I want it to clear. I want to know that the money is in my account. Because most of the time, 7 out of 10 times, the deal goes through with no problem. So I want the money to be clear and everything in my account. Like if I waited till the end and they put a stop on that check or something, then something could go wrong. So I deposit it, make sure everything's clear, and then we're good to go. And if for some reason title does not come back clear, I will write them a refund check. Like title search, and title search really doesn't cost anything. It's part of what they do to clear title. The title companies make their money on title policies and title insurance. And then the fees for either side. So that's how they make their money. It's usually about like 1%, 2%, something like that. Say that again? Mm-hmm. Her question is, do we penalize the seller if they change their mind about selling us a property? We do not penalize them, but you can actually sue somebody for specific performance, which means if they signed a contract with you, it is legal and binding, and they have to sell you the property. I am not going to go to that extreme and make some old lady sell me her house if she just decided that, you know what, I don't want to move and I just want to die in this house, or something like that. But if I feel that they are doing something shady, like maybe I marketed my deal to my buyers and this has happened before, and there's really, like, we have so many buyers. Like I said, we have 70 to 100,000 buyers on our email list. Once in a while, you get a bad apple in the group, and I'll have a buyer that will go to the seller and show them my email and be, look, what'd you sell it to them for? They're offering it for 97, and they'll be like, oh, I gave it to them for 90, and they'll be like, see, they're trying to make $7,000 on you selling it to me. I'll give you 92,000. You sell it to me, you make $2,000 more or $3,000 more, whatever. You know, they negotiate, and they try to get the seller to go with them. You know, it doesn't happen very often, but it does happen. And as soon as we find out who it is, we take them off our list. But if I think that that's going on, I will file what's called a memorandum of contract on my, like, I record it. And, like, I take my copy of my contract, file a memorandum of contract, and go and have my assistant, or sometimes the title company will do it for a fee, record it at the courthouse. So now that's going to come up when the next buyer tries to go to title company and pull clear title. It's going to come up, well, hey, they had a contract with somebody else, and they didn't follow through, and it's clouding the title now. And then they're going to have to call me and say, hey, what's going on here? What do you want to release this? And I'll say, say I was going to make $10,000. I'll be like, look, I was, it's going to take a check. Yeah. You pay me and I'll let you go.
I've done that one.
They do not. His question is, do I send them a copy of the memorandum? I sometimes will, depending. It depends. Sometimes I don't. I just let it go through the process, and if it comes up, then it comes up. But sometimes if I'm, I will send it to them and say, hey, look, just letting you know I filed this. So if you try to sell the property to somebody else, it's not going to go through. You're going to have to deal with me anyway. And I just wanted you to know that. But, if you're not trying to do anything underhanded or go around me in any way, you have nothing to worry about. Stuff like that.
Yeah, I did that, because they found out because they were taxing and tried to tell them money, or something saying something else, and they wouldn't give the money to pay the tax on it, because I done that. They thought, yes, they would have sued me if I didn't release that.
But they didn't try to sell it to somebody else. They really did try to keep it.
I tried to do that, but I had a feeling this was going on because it was somebody else was trying to call them.
Uh-huh.
But I didn't accuse them, stop buying the house, so I said, hold on, I have a contract on it, I'll let you know if it falls through, and then I'll get you to run around and start dealing with lumber. But I'm not going to happen. So I did that on back, that's mine.
Yeah. In that case, they really, if they were really trying to sell it to somebody else and they would have went through with the sale to somebody else and it would have came up, then you would have been like, hey, pay me. Like, I had a contract on it. Now, with the taxes, they could be like, hey, you're trying to hold me hostage or something like that. Like, I would have released it or something.
They wouldn't give the money for her to pay the taxes. They were going to foreclose on the house, so I find it
Yeah.
because I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Actually, you can give them the money, which is government aid, because we ran out of time in July, or they're going to file suit on her. I said, okay, I'll do that. She said, well, I'll pay the taxes because they don't give me the money. Because I filed the fine.
Yeah.
She said, after I paid, I go ahead and do it again. Well, I didn't do that.
Yeah, the contract's got to be valid at the time. So when you file it, in the timeline, is it supposed to be? Yeah, the closing date, like whatever closing date. Okay.
Okay, so it kept on, she never did cancel, and we kept going on,
Some title companies, he said that some title companies will actually not. They'll throw that memorandum. They'll ignore it because if they look at the date it was filed and say it was filed 2 months after the contract actually expired, even though you had all that going on, some of them will throw it out and some of them will honor it because they're scared of something coming back of a repercussion. All right, I got time for one more question. Okay, two. All right, y'all gonna have to fight it out.
How long do your contracts go since you brought that up? If you do a contract with the line, how long is the line?
Okay, my contracts I do for 30 days because I have so many buyers and we're able to move deals so fast. If we do not have a buyer within a week or two, then usually something's wrong and I'll start, I'll take the highest offer and go back and start renegotiating. Or if I get an offer, say I got under contract for 50 and my highest offer is for 49, I'll go back and tell them, look, I know I offered you 50. There's more issues that came up than we expected. I can still close on this property and I can close next week and I can close cash, but I have to close at 40. And then, as I totally understand, if you don't want to do that, I did not know this was going to come up. If you're willing to, I can close next week at 40. Otherwise, I can't do it. And then they'll be like, oh, I can do it or I can't. You know what I mean? And then it's up to them. And the contract is done. I'll release it. All right. Thank you. Let's take... Awesome. Mike?
But before we do that, Anisha, can you come up real quick? She's going to announce something real quick.
Okay. Okay. And you can use my mic. Are you getting the mic? Okay, you getting the mic. She's like, I'm loud. I don't need a mic. No. Come on up here so everybody can see you.
Thank you, everybody. Oh, thanks. How many of y'all are having a good time so far? Yeah. Okay, in Punjabi, instead of saying, oh yeah, we say oi hoy, okay? Okay, good. So how many of you guys are having a good time so far? That's right. Sir, your name's David?
Yes.
My name's Manisha. How much money do you have in your pocket right now? Yes, sir. How much are you willing to give me? None. Okay. Yeah. That is the hard part of what I'm trying to convince you to do. My dad invested in me $120,000 to go to medical school, so I went in 1998 and I finished in 2002. In 2002, I sat in Houston and worked at Banana Republic after having a medical degree. And then I went to New York for 3 years for an internal medicine residency. And then I stayed in New York for another 2 years for an infectious disease fellowship. So that is how many years? You do the math. And I'm still looking for that return on investment. Dad, I don't know if you think you've gotten it, but I'm not sure if I have. I'm starting to question that after being here for 3 days. Once I took my first job at Long Island Jewish as an infectious disease specialist, I did what I was trained to do, and I was told that I'm not making enough money for the group as a doctor in my first job. So that is the world that I came from, and I said, okay, well, thank you very much for the opportunity, but I'm going to go ahead and go do what I think I believe in more, which is humanitarian aid work. So I did join Doctors Without Borders in 2010. I went on my first assignment for 9 months in Kenya. I worked in a slum for HIV and TB patients, and I learned a lot about myself and the kind of work I want to do. Then I went to Cambodia for 6 months, and I worked with TB and MDR TB patients, which is multi-drug resistant TB patients. I don't have TB. Came back with a clean bill of health. I worked in Indiana for a year, and then I went to Uganda for a year. So until last week, I was in Uganda with my husband, Raghu. We went there for 11 months, and we just got back last week, and my dad, we came to visit my parents, and they said, we're going to a real estate seminar. Okay, interesting turn of events, but that's fine. How many of you besides Lily have been in Africa? Okay, that's impressive. How many of you are glad that I wasn't in West Africa and didn't bring back Ebola? Say oi hoi. Okay. Well, what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to contribute to the success of these others. And these others are these HIV patients, not just the patients, but these people that were born with HIV. They were born into a world of HIV, and they are children being, trying to basically make it in the world of Arua, Uganda, this very small community in the northwest of Uganda, right next to South Sudan and Democratic Republic of Congo. Remember, I spent 11 months there. So I know these people, I know what they're going through. We supported them while we were there, but now our project closed because the Ministry of Health of Uganda, they can take care of these people, they can provide the drugs, but they can't provide the money for an extra support group. They can't pay for them to be mentors to each other. We're all trying to be mentors to each other here, but they're trying to be mentors to each other there. And they just need a little bit of money to keep their program going. I went on GoFundMe.com while I was in Uganda, created a website, and raised $7,000 in 2 months, just by spreading the word and networking to family and friends. And so I'm doing that again here. I have in my envelope something that I'm passionate about. I hope that you'll be passionate about it as well. So please take one and pass it on. It is the website where you can go and basically fund this campaign. I'm trying to raise $11,000. I'm only $4,000 away. So I really hope that after meeting all of you and seeing your entrepreneurship skills and your wishes to help others by getting trained here and then maybe passing on the skills to others, that you will be the people that will help me get to my goal of 11,000 to get them to train each other for 2 years. That's all I want. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you to Prosperity Group for letting me do that.
Thank you for taking that on, because that's a big stand you're taking. So now I guess after this goes around and you get your website, we're gonna go to lunch till 1:30. So so after you get your website, we're gonna go to lunch. We'll meet back here at 1:30. Be in your seats at 1:30 sharp, because we have somebody really special for you. It's gonna share a lot of knowledge. So have a good lunch, and we'll see you then.